Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode of Global Entrepreneur. Today I'm going to be talking about intellectual property in the startup space. I'm going to be showing you how we patented our idea, what it covers, and how by getting a patent you can cover your idea and you can protect it from others stealing it. And it's a great thing also when you want to do fundraising and win competitions because you can basically show that you're going to have a monopoly in the market. So, that being said, I'm going to start off by saying that having a patent is, again, a great tool to protect your idea. So, I know that a lot of people, and me specifically, I was really worried about others seeing my idea in competitions and other airlines potentially knowing what we were doing and copying what we were doing. And so, I've been always worried about what can happen if I don't protect my idea, right? The thing is that it's kind of hard to get a patent when you're in at an early stage, and the reason is because your idea is not advanced enough, so that you know that it's not going to change, right? So if you're constantly pivoting, it's not worth patenting your idea because then what's going to happen is that it's going to change, and then your patent's not going to cover what you were developing before. But the other thing is that if you get it up to a point where you're advanced enough where you know that there's not going to be too many changes in the future, then patenting would be a good idea because then you're going to prevent others from stealing what you've done and your designs and the functionality behind your product. So there's that sweet spot, which is kind of hard to manage. I don't have the answer to when it's worth it to patent, but a lawyer could probably tell you, okay, like if you're going to change, then it's probably not a good idea, but then you guys should wait or you should patent it right now because you're in danger of others copying it. So again, I'm not a lawyer, so you should seek legal advice whenever it comes to the patenting process. I highly recommend doing that. But just know that there's that sweet spot they're going to have to take into account as you're working on your product. Now, the great advantage is that once you have, so there's kind of like two patents, right? There's the provisional patent, which covers your invention for up to 1 year, or at least in the US. And so, you can just get that provisional patent. It's really cheap. It's in the hundreds of dollars, so it's not that expensive. And I think the application fee is like something like $75 or something. So it's not very expensive to get a provisional patent, but it gives you enough time to also work on the changes. So you can just get your provisional patent, work on the changes, but it's only up to 1 year. And then you have to apply for the full non provisional patent, which gives you a monopoly over 20 years if you do get your patent approved. But once you get your non provisional, you can't really. Well, I mean, you can modify things, but it's better not to make those changes. So again, you should talk to a lawyer, but overall it's just better not to have to do changes later in the future because you're gonna have to pay a lot of fees and just and change documents all over again, so it's very tedious. Now the great thing is that with a provisional or a non-provisional patent, with either or, whenever you go to competitions or you're trying to get investment, it's a great way to prove investors that you have something that has been, let's say, um, I would say validated in the sense that no one else has done this before. Because in order to be able to get a patent, you first have to do a lot of background research, right, on what's out there. And it also means that you're free to just show them whatever you're working on and show it to other people and gain traction fast because you're not going to have to worry about others copying your idea. In our case, our product was very niche, so it was very hard for other companies to. Well, I wouldn't say very hard, but it was not as likely because there was only one competitor, so there's not a lot of people trying to do the same thing. However, our product was very innovative, very new, and the competitor could have had a lot of value from stealing what we were doing, so they could have monopolized the entire thing for another 20 years if they copied our idea, right? The entire market. So, we felt like having a provisional is very important. We did get support from our university and other entities that I don't think I'm allowed to mention which entities helped us out. But basically, we kind of got our patent for free. we're going to be working towards getting the non-provisional patent with their help as well. And so, without much further ado, I'm just going to start showing you guys what we did and what we have for a patent, right? So this is sort of what a patent looks like. This is kind of like two separate documents. I thought it was better to show you both. So first we have here, it's like the text on what the patent covers, right? And then here we have the pictures of the product, right? So I'm going to go one by one showing you what we've patented, right? Okay, so that being said, there's a great way to. Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, what I'm mentioning about patents is only applicable to the U.S. I know that in other countries it's similar, but every country has different rules. So if you need help, just contact an attorney in the country where you want to patent your invention. And I should also mention that once you patent your invention, it kind of prevents anyone else from copying it or using it or distributing it without your permission in the country where you patented it, right? So if I patented in the US, no other company can either use or copy my product in the US without my permission, right? Because then I could say they're infringing intellectual property. But there's other countries, there's other regulations. So usually, you might have an idea in one country, but it already exists in another country and it's patented. But you can still patent it in your country if there's a big enough market, right? So there's all those nuances where you should really talk to a lawyer if you want to get that specific. But in any case, a great idea is that you can patent it in like the largest countries where you feel like there's a big enough market, and then you can kind of expand, and there's a way to get kind of like a global patent so that your invention is covered all around the world. Big companies do this all the time, like Apple, right? Like they want to patent it not only in the US but also in China so that people don't copy their designs in their phones. Okay, so the good thing about the provisional patent is that you can basically just write it yourself. You don't need help from a lawyer. So you can just look at a template and write the patent yourself if you dedicate enough time and you don't have enough funds to get a lawyer. Or what you can do, and this is what I suggest, is you can write a draft. So most of it you can get good at like knowing how to write one, and then you can send it to a lawyer for revision so that they don't have to do the entire thing, but they will just revise it and add some things, and they will charge you much less because they don't have to spend as many hours. So that's a great thing for you to do and for you to know. And I wanna pause here and say that this is gonna be a relatively boring video because I'm gonna be going over FlykeART's patent. So the product that we invented, like we're gonna go through our patent, or I'm gonna go through our patent. And so if you guys are interested, stay and watch. I think it's gonna be helpful for you to know at least how a patent works and what it encompasses and what it looks like. But yeah, so if you have a product, great idea to get a patent. I would say it's one of the main things. And the other thing is, the great thing about a patent is that it's a property, right? It's intellectual property. So it's kind of like having a house, right? You can sell it or you can rent it. You can do anything you want with it because you're the owner of that property. And so maybe your startup doesn't work, but your invention, because you made a mistake, like trying to build your product and it didn't go well, or you had a problem, there were not enough customers, or X or Y reason why you couldn't sell it. But if you have the intellectual property, other companies might be interested in buying that intellectual property as well. So I would say it's very important to patent your idea. But again, it's expensive. If you want to get a non-provisional patent with lawyers and everything, it can cost anywhere from $10,000 to like $30,000, depending on who you do it with, or even more. So getting the full non-provisional patent that will cover your invention is expensive, but again, it's very worth it. And you could also try to talk to investors, saying, we have this great technology, great product, but we need funding for patenting, and you could try to come to an arrangement. So yeah, I mean, and then just if you wanna patent something, you would go to the USPTO provisional patent, right? So you go here. So this is the United States Patents and Trademark Office. Through their website, you can, they have all the indications, and you can just look at how to do this, right? So you go here to the USPTO website, and then they show you what different patents you have. So design patent, if it's a specific design, provisional application for a patent. You have a utility patent, which is like functionality. A plant patent, if you have, I don't know, I'm guessing if you found specific type of plant that you discovered or you created. So in any case, you can cover many things. You can have multiple patents. You don't only need to have one. That's the other thing. If you have a product that has more than one intellectual property associated to it, you can even like separate it by components and patent the components of a product. So you can have an umbrella of patents which will cover you more. That's a patenting strategy that you should definitely consult with your lawyer. Again, I'm just giving you some information. I'm not advising you to do anything. So, okay, so see you have international affairs, IP in China. You can look at what trademarks are. You have resources. Here you can also browse for like past patents. So let's just say like Tesla patent Google, right? So if you want to know, for example, Tesla autonomous driving, right? I'm just looking at an example. So self-driving systems and methods. So let's see what this is all about. Okay, so here we go. This is a patent, right? So, okay, so here you have the company, Driven LLC. You have the inventors, right? And they have self-driving vehicle systems and methods, right? So they have patented this thing, and they did get the patent, right? So it's approved. So as you can see, this is sort of how a patent looks like. Here's a list of similar patents, I think. Let's see. And their citations respectively. So yeah, so there's a huge database for patents. But again, I just want to show you, this is sort of how it looks like, right? So they're just patenting a process. That's another great thing. They're patenting a process, right? A method, and not a product. So you can also patent a method. You can patent many things. So if you go download PDF, see, this is kind of like how a full approved non-provisional patent looks like. So you have the patent number, the date, and then here's like the abstract and the pictures and the whole process. So it's good for you guys as entrepreneurs to kind of like do a patent search. You can also do that, like you can just go on Google and look at how to do a prior art search, right? So let's see, here we have one. How to do a patent search. There could be two, right? Okay, hold on, because I just found one. So here's one by the USPTO, right? So here you have kind of like the benefits, right? So you're gonna, if you do a prior art search or just like looking up what has been patented before, you're gonna avoid submitting a patent that's not patentable and will be rejected. You can see if your invention is novel, you can develop a stronger strategy. You can actually do improvements over prior art. You can understand how your idea fits better, and you can be prepared to discuss your invention with your attorney and explain what aspects of your work might be patentable. So I would highly suggest you do a search, before you patent anything you have. I'm just going to show you something else, how we did our search. Here, okay. How to conduct preliminary U.S. patent search, step by step. Oh, crap. Wow. Come on. I want to see this. Okay, there we go. Cool. So there's even, there's even a presentation where they literally show you how to do one, what patents are about. This is a government resource for free. So, it's like 36 minutes. Try to look into this. Like, try to do your own research. You should get knowledgeable about what you're going to do. So yeah, just, that's a resource out there. Try to use it. I'm going to show you. So we actually did a patent search because we were applying for a competition, and so we did a patent search for this one, the University Startup World Cup patent search. Okay, so we had to answer these three questions. One was, how can IP add value to your company? We want you to explain your business plan. What kinds of IP could be relevant to your company and why? So here we kind of like answer these questions, right? And then here we showed how we did our, so there were three, so that was one. The second one was, is there some patent already for your technology? If so, what are the options? Could you buy a license? Could you use some other technology that are not covered by patent? Is your trademark already registered by someone else? Can there be a peaceful coexistence, like the Renault example? Are you looking for alternatives? So you can both research about patents and trademarks, which is kind of like the name of your brand, if you want to say it in like basic terms. So here we show their patent and literature review. So we showed their novel features, and then we showed how we had looked into like what our search was, and then what we looked at. So like integrated aircraft galley and appliance operating system, like what was out there. We kind of like gave a description. So we had this document where we knew what we were looking into, and we did a thorough, I would say, for like a couple of days, just like researching into what the patents were, right? So, that's just to show you that we actually did our homework. And again, that was important because then when we were talking to investors and judges at competitions, we knew what the IP landscape looked like, even though we're not experts, but we could answer some basic questions that are definitely important. Yep. Okay. So that being said, we're going to go through the patent. Let me show you. I'm not sure if it's going to be easy to see this, so I'm just going to kind of like minimize this and try to go back and forth. Okay, so as you can see, this is the FLK patent. This is just a provisional patent draft. So here we have the name of our invention, which is service cart. This was done this way so that it would cover more than just airplane food carts and not to get too specific. And this was a suggestion that our lawyers gave us. So field of disclosure. So again, we had this as service cart, but our trademark is FlykeART, right? So we have both things. We talked to lawyers, and they said that our trademark was kind of like already like strong enough because we had been using the name in several places. You can do things to further enforce your trademark. We didn't want to spend too much money on that, because we had like to build a product, but that's just to show you that your patent doesn't have to have the same name as your brand, right? Or your product. So here we have field of disclosure. So the present disclosure relates to food and beverage distribution systems, and more particularly to food and beverage carts and systems for use on an airplane. So background of the disclosure. So we have various food and beverages carts may be used on public transportation to enhance the customer experience. For example, food and beverage carts may be used on buses, airplanes, trains, or any other mode of public transportation, or may be used to carry and distribute food in various venues, such as hotels, arenas, stadiums, convention centers, etc. Depending on the configuration of the cart and the space in which it is being used, there may not be much room to access the food and beverages within the cart or allow customers to easily walk around the cart. For example, on an airplane, prior art food and beverage carts often have a width similar to that of the airplane aisle, making it difficult or impossible for passengers of the airplane to walk around the cart while in the aisle, and making it difficult for flight attendants to access some of the compartments of the cart. Therefore, there's a need for a food and beverage cart which allows for maneuverability around the cart and easy access to compartments and items of the cart. Okay. So what we're saying there is, sort of where carts are used and why there's a need to build one of these carts, right? Because, you need improved maneuverability, and, other things are difficult for flight attendants, so you're kind of like enhancing the functions of the cart. So that's a background, right? Very important. So as you can see, the structures, you have a field of disclosure, kind of like what it is about, the background, so specific to how this invention is used and why there's a need for an invention here, and then summary of the disclosure, right? So here we have According to the present disclosure, a service card comprises an outer shell with rounded edges and a recessed part, an inner shell surrounded by the outer shell, a door coupled to the outer shell, a rubber latch connected to the door and capable of magnetically coupling with the recessed part of the outer shell, a handlebar disposed on top of the outer shell, and a braking system controlled by a twist lock on the handlebar to activate a plurality of brakes on the wheels. So that's kind of like what the galley cart is, right? So this is now product specific. It says, according to another embodiment of the present disclosure, a service card comprises an outer shell with rounded edges, an inner shell surrounded by the outer shell, a plurality of wheels coupled to the outer shell, a door having smoothly curved corner coupled to the outer shell, a rubber latch connected to the door, and capable of magnetically coupling with the outer shell, a handlebar, blah, blah. Okay. So here it says, additional features of the present disclosure will become apparent to those having skill in the art upon consideration of the following detailed description of the illustrative embodiment, exemplifying the best mode of carrying out the disclosure as presently perceived. So this means that, there's going to be a description of the idea and that, it's going to become evident that this is a novel invention. So, brief description of the drawings, and here we go, part by part. Let's see. Okay, so the aforementioned aspects and many of the intended features of this invention will grow to be appreciated at a greater level once references to the following accompanying illustrations are expounded upon. So once you read more, you're going to greatly appreciate the property behind this, basically. So, Figure 1 is a perspective view of a food and beverage cart of the present disclosure, and the cart includes a cart body having at least one vent concealed by a vent cover and having at least one vent open and exposed. Control panels, braking system, wheels, and doors, right? So this is kind of like the general description. Let me see if I can get to Figure 1. Okay, so this is Figure 1, right? So let's zoom in. Okay, so yeah, basically, this is the cart, the doors, the handles, control displays, the vents, right? You can get an idea. Okay, it's a cart, right? So general picture first. So then we have Figure 2 is a first side view of the cart of Figure 1 with an example of consumables on the cart. So let me go to Figure 2. Here we go, Figure 2, right? So again, same example, but there's consumables there. So you put the perspective that, okay, it's the cart used to serve consumables. Figure 3 is a second side view of the cart, Figure 2. That's just reinforcing how the cart looks like. Figure 4 is an exploded view of cart, Figure 1. So this is just an exploded view. So this is just a general picture. So as you're going to see, these figures have numbers, and these numbers are just references here to the things you're going to see. So there's going to be numbers to describe the components in every one of these pictures. So it's general pictures first and then component level detail. So then we have Figure 5 is a perspective view of Figure 1. So again, perspective view. Figure 6 is an elevational view, so you can see it as an elevated view. Figure 7 is a side view, so you can see the trace here. Figure 8 is a perspective view of the cart, so you can see like the detailed mechanisms. Figure 9 is a perspective view as well, and then we keep going this way. So Figure 10, perspective view, cart. Figure 11 is a side view of at least one vent of the cart, so this is a chiller vent. Figure 12 is a perspective view of the cart. Figure 13, top perspective. Figure 14, a series of steps showing the opening of the door of the cart. Figure 15, an elevational view. Let me try to find it, of the door. And then we have the door. So now we're getting into the components, right? The door, the door, the door. And now we have the upper portion with the locking mechanism of the door, right? So again, there's tons of pictures here. So as you can see, there's a lot of figures with numbers to every component. Those are the brakes, the surfaces, the control displays, and the functionality, and then the dimensions, right? So again, basically that's what a patent looks like. Lots of figures covering everything, and then here just detailing that now. After you have that, here now we have equivalent reference components point to the corresponding parts throughout the several views, right? Unless otherwise indicated, the components shown in the drawings are proportional to each other, wherein the illustrations depicted are manifestations of disclosure, and such illustrations shall in no way be interpreted as limiting the scope of the disclosure. For the purposes of promoting an understanding of the principles of the disclosure, reference will now be made to the embodiments illustrating the drawings, which are described below. The embodiments disclosed below are not intended to be exhaustive or limit the, basically it's just saying, the figures are important, but it's not just limited to what's presented here. Detailed description of the drawings. Now, as you can see, so as shown in Figure 1, food and beverage cart is designed for use in various public spaces, facilitates the storage and delivery of items contained within the carts. More particularly, and as disclosed further herein, cart 10 weighs less, has improved packaging, and is configured for smart, so electronics control compared to existing carts already know. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the details, but here's every single component, every single functionality, and why we did it this way. So, I just want to show you something that I feel is important, which is that we patented the, okay. So here we have the dimensions, right? So that's specifying what the dimensions are. And then here we mentioned that it has a touch screen to control the software and what you can do. And here we mentioned the economic benefit, right? What it's made out of, carbon fiber composites, right? Let's see, where is this? Because I think we had the specifications for, sorry guys, I'm just trying to look at what are the specs. Okay, here we go. So for example, here we have the card may weigh approximately 3 to 10 kilograms, so more particularly approximately 6 kilograms, which is around 17 kilograms, 65% lighter than the prior art food and beverage cards currently in service, right? So now we're specifying the weight. So now we're showing, how much fuel we're saving, how many carts are used per flight approximately, and, how much airlines could save annually. So we're just now including the costs so that the economics there are clear. For example, here we have the specifications behind the materials, right? According to the embodiment, the mechanical physical properties of carbon fiber composition are as follows. So we have the warp, the filling, the tensile strength, the tensile modulus, the weave, so the pattern of the fibers, the thickness, the color, the resin content, the curing temperature. So all of the process behind the carbon fiber used for this specific cart. So again, I don't want to get into the engineering or the specific details, but you get the idea, right? I'm going to post a link as well so that if you are curious or if you have any questions, you can access the document and just hit me up, let me know, and I'll answer any questions you have about this specific patent in general. And if you have any questions about patents in general or intellectual property, I can refer you to attorneys that will definitely help you out so that you can patent your invention. Or that you can also just know more about how to do a prior art search and how to use this as a reference for you to build your product, right? So again, patenting and intellectual property is a huge part of your startup company. There's a book that I want to finally mention called From Zero to One by Peter Thiel. So it's this book. So it basically says notes on startups or how to build the future. So basically it just shows you how to go from nothing to having a full company and why. And he talks a lot about monopolies and how you should have a monopoly over the market because that's the only way that you're gonna surpass your competition and become profitable and build a valuable company and change the future. And so again, you can read that book and it will help you better understand why a patent is important from a startup and economic side of things. Peter Thiel's the founder of PayPal, or the co-founder of PayPal, and Palantir Technologies, so other like super advanced tech companies, and he's a billionaire as well. So definitely one of the most renowned persons in the entrepreneurial space. And so yeah, I definitely recommend that. If you don't want to read the book, there's also a great lecture by him, so you can just go on YouTube, and then why competition is for losers. Peter Thiel. Yes, there you go. So it's this lecture posted by Y Combinator. Um, Basically says competition is for losers and how to start a startup. So you just go here and you watch it, and it talks about basically what the book mentions, more in general detail, more in general, and not so much in so much detail. Um, so yeah, I mean, let's just do a recap. Um, Having a patent is important because it will cover and protect your ideas, so that others can't steal your idea. It's also great because you're going to show investors validation to invest in your product, because you're going to have a monopoly over your market, and it's going to protect you. It's a great thing because it's a property once you get it, so you basically can sell it, license it, or do whatever you want with it because you have ownership of this intellectual property. The other great thing is that it's great because you're going to document everything that you have legally, so that's another great reason. Those are kind of like the advantages of having a patent. Right now, the important things to do are to clearly do your research, try to learn more about what are the different types of patents and what's more applicable to your product. Try to do a prior art search before you create any products, just to make sure that what you're creating is new. And then try to create a strategy around your patenting, and you should definitely discuss that with a lawyer. And so, with all of that considered, I'm not sure if I covered every single point, but if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I can answer your questions. Or, if it's something very specific related to not our patent but the law in general, I can refer you to great attorneys that will be able to explain you how the patenting process works. So thank you very much, and I hope you found this video useful. And I'll see you next time. Bye.